Welcome back to the Virtual Entrepreneurship Center, which is a USDA-funded project collaborative between Alabama A&M, Auburn University, and Tuskegee University. Again, my name is Dr. Keenan Grinnell, and we're here having a very, very interesting conversation with Dr. James Whitty of Auburn University. And Dr. Whitty has been talking to us about how to leverage education resources to grow your business. Jim, let's pick up where we left off with this question. What international education experiences have helped you in your work with entrepreneurs and small businesses?
I've done things from helping to start schools and orphanages in Vietnam to work in the Middle East. I think that the thing right now, currently, that has really piqued my interest is in the country of Tunisia. And there, we're going through a series of meetings and program evaluations with their cooperative extension system. Now, for those of you not familiar with rural agriculture and things like that, cooperative extension has been around in America for a long time. And it's there basically to aid the farmer, to help educate, to bring them from simply walking behind a horse with a plow into the global economy, the global agricultural economy. What we find in Tunisia is that the woman has traditionally had a major part in domestic agriculture.
Interesting.
So their product is used primarily to feed the family. The husband will go out and do the major agricultural production. His job is to turn the wheat, the olives, the sheep or goats on a mass scale into money to support the family. Well, the woman, by the nature of her creating this, maybe a vegetable garden, a chicken house with chickens, she will produce a little excess, a little surplus product. Well, that surplus product becomes saleable. And now you realize that just because she's got a dozen eggs, how do those eggs come from her farm where she lives to a market where they can be sold? Now we go, well, that's easy, get in your car and drive over there. No. The folks may not have a car or a truck, or they may use a truck that the father has while he's out doing his task. Mama doesn't have a car. So how do you get products to market? Well, that's an age-old problem. And we're just beginning to deal with that in a virtually in a Muslim country's cultural setting, in a country that by the North African standards is very progressive.
You know what that experience that you just shared, it also has slight pieces of educating us right now about family, very structured family enterprise kinds of scenarios, because that's what I was picking up. And so the wife and the husband working as a coordinated team, everybody has their role responsibility. That's what I'm picking up in terms of that particular experience.
Well, it's picking up the understanding of that. Mm-hmm. We can pick up books and read it. Mm-hmm. We can deal with what we think is that operating family structure. Closer empirical examination reveals that may not be the case. Mm-hmm. You learn to deal with wide variance. This family, ready to go. Father is supporting the mother, children are contributing, everything's working out fine. Mm-hmm. One farm down the road, the father is steeped in tradition and not ready to have his wife out marketing. She should be home taking care of the children, and it impinges on his status. How do you deal with that? So take those lessons learned, and they become very apparent in a foreign culture, because we have to understand the foreign culture. Bring that back into North America. Who's applying for the business job? Do they have support of their family? Is the wife willing to take the risk and finance the house in order for the husband to have a new business? How many times has he done it and failed? Has he failed so much that he'll lose his wife, his family, and all the rest? Or can he put assets at risk but not his family at risk? And if you're going to work with or advise these folks, these are things that you've got to do.
Man, I'm loving this. I'm loving this. Let's say that you're a creative person. You're really serious about launching an enterprise. Based on what you know, walk that individual through leveraging educational resources for business success.
First of all, and again, this sounds pretty basic, but you develop a plan.
And that's been a consistent theme with you.
Oh, yes. You don't write a paper without an outline.
Okay.
And that's just something we teach people.
Mhm.
And you can't teach them that in school and then forget about it later.
Right.
If it was valuable enough to be taught, it should be valuable enough to be used.
Mhm.
So we sit down and we kind of figure out what you expect to do and where you expect to be. And standard, we kind of look at 5-year plans. That's pretty common measure of effectiveness. What do you expect in 5 years? How realistic is that? Are you looking too fast or are you going too slow? What makes you think you'll be successful? Now I'm looking at, what do you know about your market? What do you know about accessibility? What do you know about your product need? You better know those things. The idea of you build it and they come only works in the movies. I mean, that's a field of dreams.
Understood.
We're not talking about dreaming here. We're talking about vision and goals and accomplishments in the real sense. Not I think, I feel, I believe. Don't want that. I want to know the what is. What is your plan? What's your expectations? How do you know you're accomplishing what you need to accomplish along the way? Or are you just going to delude yourself and at the end of 5 years fall off the edge of the earth? What are you going to do?
I see why your students love you so much. You know, can entrepreneurs really expect to be successful without having some form of unique relationships with educational units?
My view alone, and maybe it's parochial because I'm part of that educational unit. My view is no, they can't. The world is too complex to go it alone. The era of Rockefeller and Carnegie and J.P. Morgan, those are wonderful historical examples of individual accomplishments, and yet even those guys develop infrastructures of co-workers, of advisors, and people around them. So if you're going to launch your little entrepreneur thing, your accessibility to education or knowledge is just one more of your resources. And you treat it as a resource.
Outside of Auburn, and I know that you have a serious affinity for Auburn, so think outside of Auburn. If you're in the state of Alabama, and you're viewing this video module, where could you go to get some more Jim Whitty experience and knowledge and expertise to help me sort of think through what you've just shared and really move to that next level from now not just the idea but to commercialization?
What kind of business am I going to run?
That it'll be predicated on that.
Okay, that's the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do something in agriculture. Agriculture, poultry, fish, cattle, livestock, fruits and vegetables, those things. You got a built-in infrastructure called the Cooperative Extension System. You walk into the office and say, hey, I'm thinking about starting a business doing this.
I'm so glad I asked you that.
And they'll refer you from there.
Okay.
How do you get money? Who's got the money? Banks have the money. You walk into the bank and say, hey, I need an appointment. I'm thinking about starting a business. What do you need from me in terms of what it takes for me to get money from you. That's simple. Don't come in there talking about the development of collateral and all these other things. You just walk in there and tell them you need some money for your business. And if you got that little plan, you got that idea. Now, it may not be in the right format, it may not be on the right forms, but if your idea is sound and you put some effort into it, there's somebody in there to put it in the right form. Because you see, banks make money from people who are successful.
Absolutely.
And whatever they can do to help you be successful is in their best interest. And when it's in their best interest, they're going to be right there with you.
Understood. That, in my opinion, is really no real, say, perfect interview, because the person that's asking the questions or have structured the question, like myself, very imperfect. With that as a reality, what are some concluding, remarks you'd like to make based on what you'd like to leave the viewer in terms of some significant pearls of wisdom that, the structured interview that we just had maybe missed some things that you really want that person to know about?
If you're thinking about starting your own business, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it until you're ready. And you better understand exactly what readiness means. You've got to prepare for it. Just like if you were back in school, high school, college, I don't care where you were, but before you took a test, you prepared for it. Remember those days? You studied for it. Starting your own business is no different. If you aren't prepared, then follow your plan. And now you can begin to follow your dream. And don't ever expect to be an overnight wonder. People who develop businesses overnight, people who are successful overnight, will generally fail tomorrow. You don't want to fail.
And with that, Dr. Whitty, we're going to conclude. Thank you so much, my friend.
Enjoyed it, Keith.
Okay.
Always a pleasure.
We'll sign off now. Take care.